Balu Shah the Miser. Balu Shah lived in Gujarat. He was a great miser. He hated to spend anything on anybody, even on himself. One day, he saw some ripe dates on a tall palm tree. He liked dates very much and wanted to have some, but how could he get them? He did not like to ask anyone to climb up and get them for him, for he feared he might have to pay him something. So Balu Shah decided to climb the tree himself. He had never climbed up a date palm before, but he managed to reach the top. He was about to pick some dates when he happened to look down. The height from the ground frightened him so much that he started to tremble. The climb had already tired him out, and his hold on the tree was getting weaker. He feared that he was about to fall down. He would certainly be killed. There was nobody to help him. So he cried to God for help. He promised to do everything he could to please God. He took a solemn vow that he would feed 1,000 Brahmins if only God would help him to climb down safely. Taking this vow gave him some courage. He began to slide down the tree. When he was halfway down, he looked at the ground again. Now the distance from the ground did not seem as dangerous as before. Balu Shah heaved a sigh of relief. He then thought that he had taken that solemn vow in too much haste. The number of Brahmins he had promised to feed appeared to be too many. He felt certain that God would be satisfied even if the number was only 500. He slid further down the tree. Now he thought that even 500 was a big number. God will understand my difficulty in feeding such a large number, he said to himself. It would be reasonable to reduce the number to 200. In this way, he reduced the number to a smaller and smaller figure as he slid lower and lower down the tree. And when at last he reached the ground, he took the final solemn vow that he would feed one Brahmin to please God. Having come to this decision, Balu Shah started for home. On the way, he calculated how much it would cost to feed a Brahmin. It seemed to be too much, and he wanted to reduce the cost. How could he do so? The best way, he thought, would be to invite a Brahmin who ate only a small quantity of food. He now had to find such a man, so he made careful inquiries in the village. There was a Brahmin named Janki Das, he was told, who ate very little. Janki Das had heard about Balu Shah, but he, too, was clever and cunning. He readily accepted Balu Shah's invitation. Balu Shah went home and told his wife about his solemn vow to feed a Brahmin. He explained that he had already invited one to come and have food the next day. To please God, we must feed the Brahmin, Shamali, he said, and do everything that is required. But remember, we shall spend as little as possible. The next day happened to be the weekly market day. Balu Shah decided to go to the market to do some business, for he had to make up the loss he would incur by feeding the Brahmin. He told his wife to look after the guest. It is really my duty to attend to him personally, but I have other urgent work, he explained. Janki Das saw Balu Shah hurrying to the market early in the morning. So Janki Das went hurrying to Balu Shah's house. He wanted to know how things were shaping. Shamali was upset when she saw the guest arriving so early. However, she greeted him politely and offered him a seat. "I am on my way to the temple," explained Janki Das. "I saw Balusha going somewhere in a hurry, and I thought you might require some help or advice. So I just dropped in on my way." "Thank you very much," replied Shamali. "I am trying my best to observe the rules and conventions, but I shall follow whatever instructions you give." "It is a simple matter," said guest, "but one important point has to be kept in mind. Though the solemn vow is to feed only one man, actually you have to prepare food enough for 10 or more people. I trust you know the number of dishes to be served." Shamali told him the names of all the dishes she was preparing. "That's all right," said Janki Das. "But there is no harm in adding just 3 more sweets in order to please God Ganapati. We have to please all the gods, you see." The Brahmin then took his leave. Shamali prepared all the food by noon, and soon the guest arrived. "The food is ready, I hope," said he. "Now let us first satisfy the family gods." Shamali lit a lamp and laid out all the food in front of it. Janki Das then said, "You seem to be a sensible person. You have offered the food quite correctly. But what about the 2 gold mohurs which are part of the offering? That is important, you know." Shamali could not remember her husband telling her anything about gold mohurs. But if it was an important custom, she had to agree. She could not start arguing at the auspicious moment. Janki Das sat down to eat. He ate quite a lot. Then he spread out a piece of cloth, put all the remaining food on it, and made a huge bundle of it. It was for his family. The 2 gold mohurs which had been offered to the gods he put in his purse and said, "The food was good, and God will be pleased with you and Balusha. There is only one little ceremony left, and that is to offer dakshina." Shamali did not quite understand what he wanted. Janki Das explained, "When you feed a Brahmin," he said, "the meal is not complete unless you also give him at least 2 gold mohurs. That's a well-known custom. Surely a dutiful wife like you would know that." The poor woman feared that her husband would never approve of giving dakshina also. But if it was a well-known and important custom, she had to do it. So she gave another 2 gold mohurs to the Brahmin. Satisfied with everything at last, Janki Das returned home. He then called his wife and told her that Balusha would be coming to their house. He would be very angry. Janki Das explained carefully to his wife what she must do when Balusha arrived. Janki Das then went to his room and slept soundly because he had eaten so much. Late that evening, Balusha returned home. Shamali told him all that had happened when she fed the Brahmin. Balusha was shocked. He was furious. He took a big stick and ran to Janki Das's house. As the Brahmin's wife saw Balusha approaching, she began to wail and beat her chest. "Oh, you wicked man," she cried. "What have you done to my husband? You have poisoned him. He is dying because of the food you gave him. If he dies, the police will come and catch you, and you will be hanged. You won't escape. Oh, if my husband dies, what will happen to me and my children?" "Now don't shout like that," begged Balusha. "Everyone will hear you. Why don't you send for a doctor?" "A doctor?" screamed the woman. "What about his fee? Have we the money for doctors? Give me 10 gold mohurs immediately, and I shall send for a doctor. If we cannot get a doctor to cure him, he will certainly be hanged." Give me time to run home," begged the miser. "For God's sake, send somebody with me, and I shall send you 10 gold mohurs. You must get the best doctor." Balu Shah took Janaki Das's son with him and went home as fast as his legs would carry him. His wife asked him, "Why such haste? What has happened?" "The worst has happened," replied Balu Shah. "You have poisoned Janaki Das, and I am going to be hanged." He opened his box, took out 10 gold mohurs, handed them over to the boy, and said, "Now you run home and give these to your mother, and tell her to send for the best doctor at once." The boy took the gold mohurs and ran home. Balu Shah took a solemn vow that he would feed 1,001 Brahmins if he was saved from the gallows.